Have you ever noticed how people say they love you until love starts costing something? That's usually when the truth shows up. 5 years ago, my life stopped being measured in weeks or plans. It became measured in test results and deadlines. At the time, I didn't know which moment would divide my life into before and after. I only knew my daughter was sick and time was running out. My name is Melissa. I was 35, married, and raising my 7-year-old daughter, Ava. She was gentle and curious, the kind of child who trusted adults completely. When she started getting tired, we told ourselves it was normal. Kids get tired. Until the day she collapsed at school. The tests came fast, too fast. The doctors didn't dramatize it. They didn't need to. Ava's heart was failing. Without intervention, it would continue to weaken. There was only one real option left: a heart transplant. But before she could even be placed on the national transplant list, there was a requirement no one had prepared us for. Not the surgery cost, that came later. This was something else. A deposit. $178,000. Up front. Without it, there was no listing. Without the listing, there was no donor. Without a donor, there was no future. My husband and I did what people do when fear takes over. We drained savings. We touched retirement accounts we promised ourselves we'd never touch. We called lenders who said no before we finished explaining. We asked strangers online for help, swallowing pride we didn't know we still had. Strangers showed up. Small donations, short messages, quiet prayers. In a few weeks, we raised over $50,000. For a moment, it felt like a miracle until we saw the number again. We were $123,000 short. That's when my husband said the sentence I had been avoiding. "We need to ask your parents." I hadn't asked them for help in years. Not because I didn't need it, but because help from them was never free. It always came with reminders of who was in charge and who wasn't. Still, this wasn't about pride or old patterns. This was about their granddaughter. So I picked up the phone believing one simple thing: that when a child's life is on the line, family doesn't hesitate. I didn't know that call would quietly confirm something I had been denying for most of my life. And once it was said out loud, there was no way to unhear it. My mother answered on the second ring. Her voice was calm, almost cheerful. The kind of tone people use when they don't expect bad news. I told her everything in one breath: the diagnosis, the transplant, the deadline, the number. I didn't dramatize it. I didn't cry. I stayed factual because I thought clarity would help. There was a pause, not shock, not confusion. A pause like someone doing mental math. She said she was sorry. She said it sounded terrifying. Then she asked if we'd tried fundraising online. When I said yes, she hummed softly like she was thinking. "Let me talk to your father," she said. "We'll call you back." They didn't call back that night or the next day. 4 days later, my father did. He didn't ask about Ava. He didn't ask how she was feeling. He explained their situation instead. They were retired now, living on fixed income. Most of their money was tied up in investments. The market was unstable. Liquidating assets wouldn't be wise. He spoke carefully, reasonably. Like this was a financial review, not a child. I told him the number again. $123,000. There was another pause. Then he said, "We can't jeopardize our retirement." I remember gripping the phone and saying her name. Ava, saying it out loud like that might shift something. He sighed, not impatient, just final. "We have to think long-term," he said. "There are no guarantees." No guarantees. The words landed gently, almost kindly, and that's what made them worse. Before the call ended, he said he wished things were different, that they loved us, that this was a difficult decision. Then he hung up. I sat there holding the phone long after the screen went dark. It wasn't what they said that stayed with me. It was how easily they said it. And what I didn't know yet, what I wouldn't learn until much later, was that this wasn't the moment they chose. It was the moment I realized they already had. After that call, there wasn't time to sit with it. There was only the deadline. Hospitals don't pause for family dynamics. Forms still had to be submitted. Numbers still had to line up. Every day without the deposit pushed Ava further away from a list she wasn't even on yet. We kept working the problem. Banks said no again. Medical lenders wanted collateral we didn't have. Grants required approval timelines longer than Ava had. Each option closed itself quietly, one after another. The doctors adjusted her medications. Supportive care, they called it. Words that sound helpful until you realize they don't change outcomes, only timing. At home, everything became procedural. Medication charts taped to the fridge. Calendar alerts for labs and follow-ups. A bag half-packed at all times, just in case we needed to rush back to the hospital. Ava noticed the changes before we explained them. Kids always do. She asked when she would get her new heart. I said soon, because adults lie when the truth won't fit inside a child's world. The deadline didn't move. The number didn't shrink. And somewhere outside our view, the situation was being understood very differently. A week passed. Then another. Her energy faded in visible steps. She would start playing and stop halfway through. Sit down, lie back, rest. We began measuring days by what she could still do without getting tired. We were trying to buy time. What I didn't know, what I wouldn't learn until much later, was that while we were calling lenders and tracking lab results, other decisions were already being made. Quiet ones, paper decisions, signatures, transfers. I couldn't see them yet. But this is where the paths split. One side of the family was trying to extend a window that was closing. The other was making plans that didn't depend on Ava at all. The call hadn't ended the story. It had clarified the roles. And the events that followed would make the word, can't, impossible to believe later, once the paperwork surfaced. Ava died before I understood what had really been happening. That part matters. Because while we were still counting days and lab results, I didn't know there was anything to uncover. I believed the answer had already been given. I believed can't meant can't. For a while after she was gone, I didn't look backward. I barely functioned at all. I quit my job. Days blurred together. Nights stretched on. I wasn't searching for explanations. I was surviving the absence. The first crack came months later by accident. A social media post. A congratulatory message. A photo I didn't expect to see. My brother standing on a balcony, smiling, water behind him. The kind of view that doesn't come cheap. At first, I didn't connect it to anything. I just noted it and moved on. But something stayed with me. Not anger, confusion. So one night, unable to sleep, I did something small. I looked up the building, then the unit, then the public records. I didn't expect to find anything. The page loaded anyway. Names, dates, purchase price. Then a second document, and a third. I sat there reading, not emotionally, methodically. Cross-checking timelines. Comparing dates I already knew by heart. The transplant deadline, the wire dates, the signatures. That's when the word can't stopped making sense. Because the money hadn't appeared suddenly. It hadn't been freed up later. It had already been there, just allocated somewhere else. I didn't feel shock right away, or anger. I felt something colder. Clarity. This wasn't a last-minute decision made under pressure. It was a priority list. And my daughter hadn't been on it. I printed everything, every page, every confirmation. I put it all in order, not because I planned to confront anyone, but because once you see something clearly, you don't unsee it. And at that point, the question was no longer why they couldn't help. It was what they had already decided to help instead. I didn't confront them right away. I didn't call. I didn't send screenshots. I didn't ask for explanations. Once the documents were printed and ordered, there was nothing left to debate. The timeline spoke for itself. Dates don't argue, transfers don't explain themselves, they just exist. I put everything in a folder and closed it, not to hide it, to mark it finished. Life didn't resolve neatly after that. It didn't need to. What changed wasn't what anyone said, it was what I stopped asking for. I set boundaries that didn't require announcements. Calls went unanswered. Messages stayed unread. Holidays passed quietly. Not out of punishment, but because clarity has a way of simplifying things. My brother never mentioned the records. My parents never explained the timing. No one disputed the facts. Silence can be an admission when paperwork is involved. Over time, I noticed something else. The pressure to reconcile faded. The need for validation disappeared. I wasn't waiting for an apology that would never arrive, or one that wouldn't matter even if it did. What I needed wasn't remorse. It was accuracy, and I had that. Ava's name still comes up sometimes, in memories, in quiet moments. In the way certain dates still feel heavier than others, but her story isn't a bargaining chip. It isn't leverage. It's simply true. This is what happened. This is what was chosen. And this is what remains. People sometimes ask how I live with it. The answer is simpler than they expect. I don't live with questions anymore. I live with facts. And facts, once known, don't ask anything of you. They just sit there, unchanged, waiting for whoever is ready to see them. That's where things stand. Nothing dramatic, nothing unresolved. Just a closed record, and a life rebuilt without pretending otherwise.